Political history of Mauryans. Bindusara from 298 to 273 BC. Bindusara was called by the Greeks as Amitragadha, meaning slayer of enemies. He conquered the Deccan up to Mysore. Taranatha, the Tibetan monk, states that Bindusara conquered 16 states comprising the land between the two seas. The Sangam Tamil literature also confirms the Mauryan invasion of the far south. Bindusara received Demachus as ambassador from the Syrian king Antiochus I. Bindusara wrote to Antiochus I asking for sweet wine, dried figs, and a sophist. The latter sent all but a sophist because the Greek law prohibited sending a sophist. Bindusara supported the Ajivakas, a religious sect. Bindusara appointed his son Ashoka as the governor of Ujjain. Political history of Ashoka the Great from 273 to 232 BC. Ashoka acted as governor of Ujjain and also suppressed a revolt in Takshila during his father Bindusara's reign. There was an interval of 4 years between Ashoka's accession to the throne and his actual coronation. Therefore, it appears from the available evidence that there was a struggle for the throne after Bindusara's death. The Ceylonese chronicles Dipavamsha and Mahavamsha state that Ashoka captured power after killing his 99 brothers, including his elder brother Sushima. The youngest brother Tissa was spared. According to Taranatha of Tibet, Ashoka killed only 6 of his brothers. Ashoka's edict also refers to his brothers acting as officers in his administration. The most important event of Ashoka's reign was his victorious war with Kalinga in 261 BC. After the war, he annexed Kalinga to the Mauryan Empire. Although there is no detail about the cause and course of the war, the effects of the war were described by Ashoka himself in the Rock Edict 13. 150,000 were killed and many times that number perished. Another most important effect to the Kalinga war was the Ashoka embraced Buddhism under the influence of Buddhist monk Upagupta. Brihadratha, the last king of the Mauryan dynasty, was killed by Pushyamitra Sangha, the founder of Sangha dynasty. Ashoka and Buddhism. Ashoka appointed special officers called Dharma Mahamatras to speed up the progress of Dhamma. In 241 BC, he visited the birthplace of Buddha, the Lumbini garden near Kapilavastu. He also visited other holy places of Buddhism like Sarnath, Shravasti, and Kushinara. He sent a mission to Sri Lanka under his son Mahendra and daughter Sangamitra, who planted there the branch of the original Bodhi tree. Ashoka convened the third Buddhist council at Pataliputra in 240 BC in order to strengthen the Sangha. It was presided over the Mogaliputta Tissa. Extent of Ashoka's empire. Ashoka's inscriptions mention the southernmost kingdoms Cholas, Pandyas, Satyaputras, and Keralaputras as border states. Therefore, these states remained outside the Mauryan Empire. According to Rajatarangini, Kashmir was a part of the Mauryan Empire. Nepal was also within the Mauryan Empire. The northwestern frontier was already demarcated by Chandragupta Maurya. Ashoka's Dhamma. Although Ashoka embraced Buddhism and took efforts to spread Buddhism, his policy of Dhamma was a still broad concept. It was a way of life, a code of conduct, and a set of principles to be adopted and practiced by the people at large. Edicts of Ashoka are major rock edicts, pillar edicts, minor rock edicts, territorial limits. His principles of Dhamma were clearly stated in his edicts. The main features of Ashoka's Dhamma, as mentioned in his various edicts, may be summed as follows: service to father and mother, practice of ahimsa, love of truth, reverence to teachers, and good treatment of relatives. Prohibition of animal sacrifices and festive gatherings, and avoiding expensive and meaningless ceremonies and rituals. Efficient organization of administration in the direction of social welfare and maintenance of constant contact with people through the system of Dhamma Yatras. Human treatment of servants by masters and prisoners by government officials. Consideration and non-violence to animals and courtesy to relations and liberality to Brahmins. Tolerance among all the religious sects. Conquest through Dhamma instead of war. The concept of non-violence and other similar ideas of Ashoka's Dhamma are identical with the teachings of Buddha. Ashoka did not equate Dhamma with the Buddhist teachings. Ashoka's Dhamma signifies a general code of conduct. Ashoka wished that his Dhamma should spread through all the social levels. The rock edicts which talk about the Dhamma are as follows. Major Rock Edict 1 declares prohibition of animal sacrifices and holiday or fest gatherings. Major Rock Edict 2 relates to certain measures of the social welfare which are included in the working of Dhamma. It mentions about medical treatment for men and animals, construction of roads, wells, trees, planting, etc. Major Rock Edict 3 declares that liberty towards Brahmanas and Sarmanas is a virtue, respect to mother and father, etc. are all good qualities. Ashoka refers Major Rock Edict 3 to Anusamyana or tour of inspection, which some categories of officials has to undertake once every 5 years for expounding Dhamma and for official work. Major Rock Edict 4. The edict comments that due to the policy of Dhamma, the lack of morality and disrespect towards Brahmanas and Shamanas, violence, unseemly behaviors to friends, relative to others, and evils of the kind have been checked. The killing of animals, to a large extent, was also stopped. Major Rock Edict 5 refers to the appointment of Dhamma Mahamatas for the first time in the 12th year of his reign. These special officers were appointed by the king to look after the interests of all sects and religions and spread the message of Dhamma in each nook and corner of the society. Major Rock Edict 6. It is an instruction to Dhamma Mahamatas. They are told that they could bring their reports to the king at any time, irrespective of whatever activity he may be engaged in. The second part of the edict deals with speedy administration and smooth transaction of business. Major Rock Edict 7. It is a plea for toleration amongst all the sects. It appears from the edict that tensions among the sects were expressed intense, perhaps in open antagonism. The plea is part of the overall strategy to maintain unity. Major Rock Edict 8 states that Dhamma Yatras or tours would be undertaken by the emperor. The earlier practice of the emperor of going out of hunting expeditions was given up. Dhamma Yatras enabled the emperor to come into contact with the various sections of people in the empire. Major Rock Edicts 9 attacks ceremonies performed after birth, illness, marriage, and before setting out for a journey. It talks about censure passed against ceremonies observed by wives and mothers. Ashoka instead lays stress on the practice of Dhamma and uselessness of ceremonies. Major Rock Edict 10 denounces fame and glory and reasserts the merits of following the policy of Dhamma. Major Rock Edict 11. It is a further explanation of the policy of Dhamma, emphasis on respect to elders, abstaining from killing animals, and liberality towards friends. Major Rock Edict 12 It is again appeal towards toleration among sects. The edict reflects the anxiety to king felt due to the conflict between sects and carries his plea for harmony. Major Rock Edicts 13 is of paramount importance in understanding the Ashokan policy of Dhamma. The Rock Edict pleads for conquest by Dhamma instead of war. This is a logical culmination of the thought process which began from the first Rock Edict, and by conquest what is perhaps means is the adaptation of the policy of Dhamma by a country rather than its territorial control. Facts to know: Ashoka in Rock Edict 12 and many other edicts prescribe the following codes to be followed: obedience to mother and father, elders, teachers, and other respectable persons, respect towards teachers, proper treatment towards ascetics, relations, slaves, servants, and dependents, the poor and miserable, friends, acquaintances, and companions, liberality towards ascetics, friends, comrades, relatives, and the aged, abstention from killing of living beings, non injury to all living creatures, spending little and accumulating little wealth, mildness in case of all having creatures, truthfulness, attachment of morality, purity of heart.